Coming up today here on the Raiders Report, some Raiders news that you guys need to see. We'll talk about that at the end of today's show. But the Quinn Ewers to Las Vegas rumors are really starting to heat up, and that's how we're going to start here on today's show. This has been a topic that I've discussed multiple times, and really these rumors, and we always say where there's smoke, there's fire. I know I'm going to get a few chuckles out of that one, but this is legit, and I think for a lot of the people that have been watching this show every single day over the past 2-3 weeks have seen the Quinn Ewers to Raiders rumors are growing a little bit. The first reason why I think that these rumors are continuously heating up, Quinn did have a top 30 visit, but I'm somebody that always sits back and go, all right, the Raiders, we knew they were going to be interested in some quarterbacks. What makes Quinn Ewers' top 30 visit a little bit different than anybody else's? Here's some of those reasons. Not only did he have a top 30 visit, the Raiders met with Quinn before his pro day, and they met with him at the NFL Combine. Ewers is the only quarterback entering the 2025 NFL Draft that has had all three of those with the Las Vegas Raiders. Also, I'm a big believer in timing is everything. He ended up meeting with the Raiders on April 8th. I also believe he was still there on April 9th, which is the exact same day that the offseason workouts for the Silver and Black started. Yes, I understand that Ewers and these college players, Genty was also there, Mason Graham was also there. They don't really have any overlap with the Raiders players that were there. But at the exact same time, when you schedule certain things and a big date like that is scheduled, that is something that I'm going to be looking at. Let's go to the next reason here. And this is one that, some people might laugh at this one, but this is an important thing for me, for Raider fans out there. I think it's also really important for Pete Carroll and this brand new regime. They want guys that want to be Raiders. They want guys that end up wanting to be here. And Ewers literally said recently that he would want to be a Raider. On Friday, Ewers said on the Rich Eisen show, he said it would be super cool to be a part of this organization and also loves that Pete Carroll loves to be able to go out there and compete. Here's what Ewers said on joining the Raiders on the Rich Eisen show. Coach Carroll is awesome. He's always talking about compete, compete, compete. I think he probably says that word 100 times a day, and it would be super cool to be a part of a program, part of a franchise that, they live and die by how they compete. If you're in the building, he said, you're either competing or you're not. There's no in between. I feel like that's kind of how I already live. It definitely would be cool. So that's already Quinn Ewers is telling you that he thinks it would be cool to play with Pete Carroll. Pause. Thinks it'd be pretty cool to play with the Las Vegas Raiders. And you know what I think it'd be pretty cool? I think it'd be pretty damn cool if you hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, because if we're live on draft night and the Raiders end up drafting Quinn Ewers, I'm telling you right now, we're going to give away a Quinn Ewers jersey. So make sure you pull up. Let's go to some also more of the recent smoke around Quinn joining the Las Vegas Raiders. And, I've been saying this for probably the last 2 weeks that the number one quarterback most likely drafted by the Raiders is Quinn. Then what ends up happening? Pelissero over the weekend, he also linked Quinn to Las Vegas, saying that Pete Carroll meeting, I would just say, file that one away. And when you listen to the entire context of what Pelissero is talking about, he's literally just looking at some of the past relationships, looking at some of the dots that are aligning. And I agree with Pelissero that meeting with Quinn Ewers and the Raiders is one that a lot of people just got to say, all right, I see it. But I'm going to remember that, and I'm going to save that meeting for just a little bit later if the Raiders do end up going with the Texas quarterback. Here's probably the biggest reason of why people really, really got to start being able to wrap their mind around Quinn Ewers joining the Raiders. And this has also been something that I've been saying. The Raiders, I know for a long time, have been eyeing quarterbacks on day 3. I don't know if Ewers is going to end up going on day 3. That's a whole nother discussion. But the Pete Carroll and Steve Sarkisian connection needs to be talked about more. And I'm actually sad and mad at myself that I haven't talked about this even more on this show, because we know how important relationships are to this brand new regime. Steve Sarkisian worked underneath Pete Carroll at USC from 2001 to 2003. Then Sark actually ended up going to the Raiders in 2004, but then also worked underneath Pete again from 2005 to 2008. Sark also credited for Pete Carroll and Nick Saban for being a big part of where he is at today. So Sark really appreciates the Pete Carroll connection. Quinn Ewers really appreciates what Steve Sarkisian has to say. So when you have all of those connections aligning, it starts to make sense of why the Raiders are really high on Quinn Ewers. And then the final reason is this. It fits the Geno timeline. I have said multiple times that I don't know exactly what the Raiders' plan is, but once I know what the plan is, I can kind of outline whether I like it or not. The Quinn Ewers being drafted by the Las Vegas Raiders does kind of really fit with that Geno Smith timeline of, I believe that the Raiders do sit here and go, Geno Smith's going to be the silver and black starter for the next 2 to 3 years, and his contract says that. Ewers needs, in my opinion, 2 to 3 years to develop, which has been something that I have said, NFL scouts have said, a lot of people I think have said that around Ewers, because you can't deny that the kid's got arm talent. Ewers has elite arm talent. He just needs a lot of other things to be ready to play in the NFL right away. And I'll tell you this, if I was Ewers, you know who I'd love to be able to sit down and play with? Chip Kelly. Because when I think about what Chip Kelly brings to the table, and if he can learn behind a Tom Brady, can learn underneath the John Spytek, can learn from a Pete Carroll, and if Quinn Ewers can put it all together, you can't deny that he doesn't have upside. And if he's got 2 to 3 years to be able to learn, I think that aligns with what the Raiders' plan has been all along. So maybe you know what just win babies are, maybe you don't. Hopefully you do, and this is how I'm going to be able to tell which one of the real ones are out there. Quinn Ewers to the Las Vegas Raiders. How many just win babies is it? Is it 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4? My answer is coming up right after this YouTube ad break. I'm going to give this one 2 just win babies, and I'm going to say people are talking. I literally think at this moment, the number 1 quarterback most likely to be drafted by the Las Vegas Raiders is Quinn Ewers, and because of that, it's 2 just win babies, and I do think that it's a coin flip right now. I'm not saying that there's not going to be other quarterbacks that the Raiders look at. We know the Raiders are interested in multiple other QBs. I believe right now they've had 8 to 9 visits in total out of their top 30 visits, so clearly quarterback is a need. But Quinn Ewers to Las Vegas, the rumors have been there for weeks. They are getting stronger. They are getting louder, and it would not shock me at all if the Raiders on day 3 of the draft call Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers, and he's somebody that they're going to have a backup to, Geno Smith, and also go out there and compete with Aiden O'Connell. We got some more Raiders news coming up here in just a moment. Before I break all that down for you, huge shout out to today's sponsor, Game Time, the official ticketing partner of the Raiders Report and of Chat Sports. I'm not the biggest NBA fan during the regular season, but playoff basketball, it's totally different. I've never been to a playoff game, but I love the opportunity sometime in my life because of the atmosphere of an awesome playoff game. I love using Game Time because of the last-minute deals. You can save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, whatever you need to buy. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, that's CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. I do like to be able to browse also on Game Time, whether I'm looking to be able to go to a Vegas Golden Knights game. Maybe I'm looking to go to WrestleMania. Chugs has been trying to get me to go to WrestleMania for a while. Maybe you're trying to go see one of the top artists out there in Vegas. Like for me personally, I was looking at tickets literally right before we started the show for the Lakers, and I was seeing tickets like as high as like $300. I saw some tickets for like $700, $900. If I was trying to go to that Lakers playoff game, I would wait until Friday. I would wait until Saturday, and then that's when I would end up getting those deals. If you're kind of in that thought process as well, that link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. So one more time here, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS. What time is it? It's Game Time. I trust Game Time. Chugs trust Game Time. And I think you guys are going to love Game Time as well. Coming up next here, the Raiders news that you need to see today. The first thing is Darius Alexander. He has a top 30 visit with the silver and black. And this is very interesting to me because, again, we're looking at defensive tackle. And when I think about the Raiders' interior defensive line, when I think about the Raiders' defensive line in general, it's solid, right? This is one of the most confident areas on this team that we already have. And the Raiders, at this moment, have only met with 2 DTs, Mason Graham and now Darius Alexander. Both players that when you look at them, they're going to go in the first 2 rounds of the draft, right? Mason's going to be a top 10 pick. I think Darius Alexander has a shot to be a first-round pick. Definitely going to be a top 50 pick overall. But this also goes back to them saying, They are looking for something else on the interior. They are looking for a big guy. I've been saying they've been looking for a nose tackle. Here's what Lance Zierlein has to say on Darius Alexander. He is an interior lineman with the size, length, and physicality for consideration in odd or even fronts. Alexander is capable of destroying blocks, but he needs to do a better job of balancing his force to control the action at the point of attack. He can hold his ground when he's staying low, but the pad level is inconsistent and causes his gap constriction to hit or miss. Alexander is above average rush. I don't even know what that word is. He does a nice job of utilizing his traits and crafting a plan of attack. His best football could be ahead of him, but for now, he projects as an average rotational player or a backup. I'll be real. I actually think that Lance Zierlein is a little bit low on that. What was it, Chugs? Acumen? That sounds like something you would put on your face to get rid of acne. I don't even know. Bottom line, though, I know the Raiders have been looking at another player on the defensive line, whether it's a defensive tackle. I've been saying it's a nose. I don't know if Alexander necessarily fits that nose tackle criteria that the Raiders are looking for, but this is a team that does need some extra bodies on that interior because of outside of Christian Wilkins and Adam Butler. I don't have a lot of confidence in too many other people. I do think John Ulalu is a lot sneakier than what he gets credit for, but I do find it interesting. Darius Alexander has a visit with the Raiders. He also has a visit with a lot of other teams as well. Shedeur Sanders, maybe you guys have heard of him. He's visiting with the Las Vegas Raiders tonight. I don't know if that's going to be all night and if he's also going to be there tomorrow, but Shedeur's going to be a top 15, top 10 pick, I imagine. A lot of people still think the Raiders could take him at 6, which the Raiders might still try to take Shedeur Sanders at 6. But anytime Shedeur linked to the Raiders, I already knew that I was going to get a lot of questions about it, so it is planned that he's visiting with them tonight. More random, we'll call it NFL draft news, Will Johnson. He practiced today, or I guess had his pro day today, and based on some of the reports, it wasn't as great as what some people were hoping, but because he's going to visit the Raiders tomorrow, now this was the plan that was reported last week. The plan was Will Johnson would work out for NFL teams today, and then he would visit the Las Vegas Raiders first, and that was going to be the following day. Maybe that changes after a little bit of a bumpy pro day today by Johnson. He didn't run the 40-yard dash, but when you look at the vertical, when you look at the short shuttle, he is somebody that I'm just going to say this right now. I don't think his athleticism matches what I see on tape. I think he is a much better football player, and the tape he shows that he is a much better player. But I am concerned that some of those injuries that he has sustained maybe has zapped him a little bit of that athletic ability, because for how good he is on film and then for how underwhelming he is as an athlete, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens to Will Johnson on day one of the NFL draft. Coming up next here, something that has never happened before happened today, and I'm very, very happy that I'm rocking a Maxx Crosby shirt. I'll show you what it is if you haven't seen it already. It's a pretty cool freaking thing for Mad Max, and I think it's pretty cool for the Raiders and a college program out there. But if you haven't seen the video that I dropped earlier today, I did a video around some Aiden O'Connell trade rumors. If that video is going to be available to y'all, down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. If you just want to see what's the latest going on around AOC and which teams could potentially be interested in trading for him. The thing that I'm going to end today's show with, and I want y'all to show Max some love, spam a 98 down below. Adam Schefter put this out. Raiders standout pass rusher Maxx Crosby is being named the assistant general manager for football at Eastern Michigan University. Crosby becomes the first active NFL player to hold the position. He now will help Eastern Michigan evaluate high school and portal prospects, manage its NIL budget, and also serve as a special assistant to the AD on fundraising, alumni relations, so on and so on. My only thing that I'm going to say to this, and again, I think this is awesome for Max. I know that the field, Max just recently, I guess, bought the naming rights to the Maxx Crosby field. It was for like $1 million. I think that happened, last offseason. My only thing is, Max, I need you to be a Raider first, and I'm super happy that you're getting all this stuff for Eastern Michigan, but we still got to keep the main thing the main thing. I'm not saying that that's not going to happen, but what an amazing opportunity for 98, and what an amazing opportunity for Eastern Michigan. Might get better recruits there. Who knows? Maybe we could turn that into, I can remember growing up, Penn State was known as linebacker U. What if Eastern Michigan turns into Ed's Rusher U and we just create a funnel of players going to Las Vegas? A little bit of a pipe dream, but I am really excited for Max, his family. Huge opportunity for him in Eastern Michigan. Spam those 98s down below to show love to Mad Max.